Hi, welcome back to Cinema Synopsis. Today I'm going to be explaining a science fiction action movie called The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. The movie opens up in London in 1899 as a tank breaks into the Bank of England. A mysterious man in a steel mask known as Phantom gets out and orders his henchmen to kill the guards except one. The newspapers blame the German government for the incident. We then see the mysterious man in a German factory kidnapping the scientists. He sets the factory on fire by blowing up the Zeppelins. The German government blames the English, and war seems imminent. A representative from the British government goes to Kenya hoping to recruit the legendary but now retired hunter and adventurer Alan. Alan is reluctant to help, now being 70 years old and with so many of his friends and family dying from his adventures. But some thugs come in with armored chest plates trying to kill him with machine guns. Alan ends 3 of them as one runs away. He gets his rifle and puts on his glasses and shoots the running man. They walk out to the shot man to question him, but he chews a capsule and dies. Inside the clubhouse that Alan was in, a bomb goes off from a suitcase that one of the thugs carried in. Alan decides to serve for England. They arrive in a rainy London in July 1899. Alan enters a room with many portraits of groups of men from different ages. He meets M, who tells him there was always a League of Extraordinary Men who served for England. Alan is introduced to Captain Nemo from India and the Invisible Man, Mr. Skinner, who stole the formula for invisibility and is now invisible. Mr. Skinner puts on a coat and also white cream on his face. Mr. Skinner says that he joined the League because they promised him a way to make him visible again. M tells him that there will be a peace summit of European leaders in Venice, and Phantom wants to stop it. They believe Phantom wants to make money off of a world war, which will no doubt be caused by killing all the delegates at the summit. The group decides they need Gray to join them. The group takes Captain Nemo's giant submarine called the Nautilus to Gray's home. Gray says he doesn't want to be in the League, but invites them in. Alan tells the rest of the group that he met the young-looking Gray in college. While they are talking, disguised thugs break in and point machine guns at the group. The Phantom appears and tells them that he can't have them spoiling his plans. Alan notices that one of the thugs winks at him. 6 shooters start shooting at the winking thug, but he takes out them and runs after the Phantom. Phantom's right-hand man calls Phantom James, and the Phantom dives into the harbor. Alan uses his fists to fight the thugs and wins them over. Mina is pushed into hiding, and Captain Nemo is using his swords to dispatch the thugs. The winking thug turns out to be Special Agent Sawyer from the United States. The US is afraid if there's a war in Europe, it will spread across the Atlantic. Alan allows him into the League when Sawyer presents him with a Winchester rifle. They think there is no more thugs, but one captures Mina and holds a knife on her. Mina turns around and savagely attacks the man, sucking his blood from his neck. Her face is covered with blood as the gentlemen are surprised of what she just did. Mina explains that a while back, Dracula bit her and turned her into a vampire. The League decides to take Captain Nemo's astonishing Nautilus to Paris to capture Mr. Hyde. Captain Nemo explains that his amazing submarine will take them over and under the water. In Paris, Alan and Mr. Sawyer chase Mr. Hyde. They eventually successfully capture Mr. Hyde and put him on the Nautilus. Alan tells Mr. Hyde in exchange for his help, he is allowed back in England. Hyde, now knowing this, transforms into his normal self, Dr. Jekyll. The League sails towards Venice on Captain Nemo's Nautilus. On the way, Alan compliments Captain Nemo and apologizes for being rude. The group figures out that the Phantom is going to try to blow up Venice. They also figure out that the plans he stole from the Bank of England are plans of Michelangelo. The group is worried there is a traitor in their midst when flash powder is found in the wheel room of the Nautilus. Dr. Jekyll also notices that one of the vials that contains his serum is missing. Naturally, they all think that the invisible thief, Skinner, is the culprit, but nothing can be done about it since Skinner is nowhere to be found. Later, Alan tries to teach Sawyer how to shoot. The secret is knowing how to time your aim. They arrive in Venice and try to find bombs they believe are planted under the city, but they are too late and the bombs go off and buildings are falling like dominoes. The League gets into the car, but Dr. Jekyll is afraid that he might turn into Mr. Hyde and doesn't want to go with them. Since the buildings fall like dominoes, the plan is as follows. They will drive to a point where the buildings are still up, and Captain Nemo will fire at them to flatten those buildings so the falling buildings won't fall on anything else. and the destruction will stop. Thugs start chasing them, so Gray jumps out of the car. More thugs appear and Minha turns into a colony of bats to take them out. Alan sees the Phantom and jumps out as Sawyer drives to a point where no buildings have fallen over yet and fires the flare. Captain Nemo aims the missile to that point and fires. Alan encounters the Phantom in a cemetery, and the Phantom taunts Alan about Alan's dead son. Alan unmasks the Phantom, who is M, but M escapes. Gray has returned to the Nautilus first and shoots one of the soldiers. When everyone else arrives, the dying sailor says it's Gray, not Skinner, who is the spy. An escape pod starts to detach from the Nautilus, and it is revealed that Gray is inside. Everyone gets aboard the Nautilus, and a tracking device is telling them where Gray is heading. Gray left behind a record, so they start to play it and hear M and Gray. M says there is no real League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It was just a fake operation to get Minna's blood, a skin sample from the Invisible Man, a vial of Dr. Jekyll's formula, and pictures of the Nautilus. Bombs on the ship start to go off, putting a hole in the ship and flooding sections of it. Captain Nemo orders that those sections be sealed off, which will trap some crew members. Dr. Jekyll jumps into a flooding compartment and turns into Mr. Hyde. He swims underwater and turns a lever that buoys up the ship to the surface, saving everyone. But the problem is now that the tracking device has been broken, so the group starts to repair the ship, and they receive a Morse code message from Skinner. Skinner says he knew they would blame him, so he snuck on board the escape pod with Gray and he will keep them updated. The League follows the villains to frozen Mongolia to wait for Skinner. While waiting outside in the snow for Skinner, Skinner arrives and tells them that in the fortress they are making several Nautiluses. He also tells them that M is holding the German scientists and their families captive. The scientists are being forced to reproduce the Invisible Man's invisibility, Dr. Jekyll's formulas, and Minha's blood. Once reproduced, they will be used to make armies of invisible men, Mr. Hydes, and vampires. Skinner volunteers to blow up the factory, while Nemo and Mr. Hyde rescues the captives. Alan and Sawyer will go after M, and Minha will take care of Gray. Captain Nemo and Hyde run into the second-in-command, Dante, who drinks a very large dose of Dr. Jekyll's formula and turns into a huge, hulking monster. The giant is beating the crap out of Mr. Hyde, but Hyde, at times, gets an upper hand. Captain Nemo cuts the giant, but it doesn't seem to do much. Hyde returns to his normal size, and they both hide in a small room. Dante can't get all the way in, but his hand can fit in, and it is about to stab the two men. At the same time, Alan and Sawyer are looking for M. They encounter an invisible man. Sawyer thinks it is Skinner, but it is not Skinner. They fight with Sawyer shooting his 6 guns, without aiming and not hitting the invisible man. Finally, he beats him off, but a man with the flamethrower is now after him. Skinner shows up and ruptures the tank more, and the flamethrower is engulfed in flames. Mina appears behind Gray, and she tells him that he broke her heart. They start to fight, and as they cut each other, their wounds heal. As they are both immortal, there's no way to kill each other. Mina hits him in the balls and notices a portrait. While she is distracted, Gray stabs her in the heart with his sword. He goes to her body and tells her that she is beautiful, and pulls out a sword. She rises from the bed and grabs hold of his sword, saying thank you, and sticks him into the wall. While he tries to get himself down, she unwraps the portrait. He gazes at his moldy, decrepit self in the portrait and starts to age rapidly. Gray starts to dissolve gruesomely in front of Mina's eyes. Alan catches M in his chamber and reveals that M is really Professor James. They fight, but Alan gets the upper hand and is about to kill him with an axe. As the bomb goes off, the giant is crushed by the falling walls. Alan loses his advantage over M, but aims a gun at him. Alan realizes that Sawyer is behind him, held hostage by an invisible thug. Alan turns around and shoots the thug dead, but M plunges a knife into his back and escapes through a crevice in the wall. Alan is alive, but his glasses are broken and tells Sawyer to shoot M. Alan gives him the tip to line up the shot properly, so he does. Sawyer makes the shot and kills M. M's case, carrying all the formulas and samples of the leak's powers, falls into the ocean below. Alan dies soon after. Back in Kenya, a tribesman dances a ritual as we see Alan being buried next to his son. Captain Nemo suggests they should stay together as a team, and the rest of the League members agree. The League leaves as the dancing tribesman is doing his ritual. The sky becomes dark and stormy as the dirt of Alan's grave starts shaking as the movie goes black.